The situation in Zimbabwe had already been devastating for many way before the pandemic. However, these challenges have been further amplified.
They are still looking and focusing on an industry-based agricultural system.
There's a lot of creativity that's taking place now.
Large commercial organizations that rely on advertising have been really badly hit.
Welcome to Africa Talks, supported by the Federal Foreign Office of Germany, the DAX 30 company Henkel, and the Stehelin Foundation. I'm Marco Wollmer, member of the board of the non-profit organization IJP, International Journalists Programs.
My name is Eka Neumann. I'm the coordinator of the German African program of the IJP program, and I'm very happy to be able to have this talk today.
Africa Talks is designed as a platform for exchange of African and European topics, exchange of knowledge and ideas between journalists and experts from politics, businesses and civil society from both continents. We want to learn, engage and discuss about what are the impacts and consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Interdependency is the political reality in the 21st century. That is what we have to learn. Europe has to change perceptions about Africa and adapt to the new realities. Second, both sides must take their respective responsibilities. Africa, good governance and structural reform. Europe, no double standards and corresponding structural reforms here with us in Europe. The third, very basic step should be, we need to build a strategic economic partnership to make Africa a global growth hub. That is possible. We should acknowledge our differences as well as our common interests and come to a basis, on this basis, to solidarity. And hopefully, that is what I really want to make clear, mutual learning. Mutual learning means also learning from each other.
There is a race for these vaccines because there is a scarcity of them.
Voluntarism does not work. If we rely on companies doing something out of the good of their hearts, we've seen the CTAP pool is basically moribund, COVAX is struggling. We actually need a system which takes away the incentives to withhold property, intellectual property, patents, so that you can get the most profit. There's ways of structuring this so that a fair profit can be gotten, but not at the expense of human lives.
The public funding for research and development of vaccines and medicines need to be accompanied by mechanisms and also to write into the contracts that give money to these public money to this research, that the knowledge that comes out of this is shared, and not only shared but also transferred.
For our farmers, they were not able to access the markets. Most markets were closed, restaurants were closed, hotels were closed, schools were closed.
It's always about the structure. How is the world feeding itself? How are the people feeding itself? With food sovereignty, with their seeds, with management, with their possibilities to have farming, processing, rural markets, and so on. I don't think that the result and the solution is that 10 billion people over the globe are eating 4 vegetables owned by 4 big companies.
And the results suggest that right now, already, 19 million people are acutely food insecure in Western sector.
We even see it in Germany. I mean, all the meat industry, all the big processors, they declare themselves as systemic relevant and block all the reforms that we need in the agricultural sector.
more and more digital solutions and very advanced digital solutions are being used in fighting the pandemic, including predictive analytics, so machine learning, all these things become more and more into play. So that's as a proof for my first thesis. Yes, COVID-19 is the driver to digital transformation.
We need to do more of it. Incubating of smaller and bigger, smaller ideas within this area, within this region.
Sales went down for media, and generally even just income for the media organizations went down, because you find that the sales went down. They could not get, for instance, the revenue from the advertising in the media houses.
It's very difficult to get to the core of this story, to go to people infected, to go to the hospitals and to speak to people infected and maybe fighting for their lives. So what we all fear and what we all talk about is very rarely reported about. It's only doctors reporting on what they saw, or people that have recovered referring to what happened to them as far as they remember.
In terms of journalists being working from home, I think on one hand it's a problem because you don't have a community, you don't have a newsroom, you don't have the support. But on the other hand, what it does address in certain countries is the problem we've traditionally had, which is that all journalists from all around the country end up coalescing in the capital and working out of London, out of Paris, out of Milan, and trying to report on the entire country from a centralized newsroom. And what COVID-19 and this working from home has done is enabled people to stay at home.
If you only watch your success quantitatively, you don't get a feeling for what's going on in the minds of your audiences in terms of being terrified and in terms of anxiety and so on.
One thing that the pandemic has done is to make the people realize how really bad the situation is, particularly bad in the sense that it affects everyone's lives, and that there is need for everyone to take action in terms of restructuring the manner in which our healthcare system operates.
We had worldwide 370 million children, school children, who from one day to another had no meals.
It is now very clear that we have to embark on a blended kind of learning and teaching, where we have to promote the use of high-tech learning technologies, approaches.
I think we need some kind of a paradigm shift, as we used to say, but also like a kind of a new deal between education and companies. For example, if you ask companies, could you hire more people? They would say yes, but they are not skilled as we need them. And if we take them, we have to train them for another 6 months or even longer.
Some of the girls, they will not even be going back to school. So I think the first is to really first admit that this is a violation of the rights of girls.
If you don't count what is gender-based and what not, you can't really talk about it.
But who was listening? Who was listening to the voices of the women when the women spoke? So now the COVID pandemic has pushed the bar a little bit more, that you should listen to what the women have been saying about the gaps that they have, about what they're facing, about the challenges, the risk, the threats that they have been having.
There are a few things I think that we are learning, and there will be a few positives that we can take out of this and hopefully build from there to improve this sector.
I see a change in general within the music business and also the music, the artists and living in Berlin towards a more humane way maybe of going about each other, because of everyone's kind of in the same boat.
We could go into this deeper and deeper, but I hope everybody gained something from it, and it was very interesting. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your attendance. That was Africa Talks. Many thanks to our speakers. Take care, goodbye, and stay healthy.